Okay, let's dive into the 1977 Moscow metro bombings today. This was a really violent, pivotal event, something the Soviet state basically insisted ideologically just couldn't happen there.
Yeah, the context is absolutely key. We're talking 1977, deep into what they called the era of stagnation under Brezhnev.
Right.
It was this period of, well, inertia. And the state was pushing this image, this total illusion of perfect order. Security was absolute, they claimed. Terrorism, that was something, decadent, a purely Western problem.
So imagine the shock. Saturday, January 8th, 3 bombs go off. Coordinated.
It completely shatters that facade.
The first one hits a packed metro train between Izmailovskaya and Pervoniskaya stations. Then, just minutes later, 2 more explosions up on the surface.
And where they hit is significant, near the KGB's Lubyanka headquarters, right there on Dzerzhinsky Street. A real statement.
The final count was 7 dead, 37 injured. Just horrific.
But what's maybe even more telling is the immediate reaction, or lack of reaction publicly.
Total secrecy.
Almost. It took 2 full days for TASS, the state news agency, to even mention it, and when they did, just a short, vague bulletin. Played it way down, only mentioned the metro blast.
So the priority wasn't informing the public, it was damage control. Ideological containment.
Exactly. The biggest threat wasn't the bomb itself, it was the idea that a bomb could go off in the workers' paradise. That couldn't be admitted.
So behind the scenes, they must have scrambled. What was the investigation like? Operation Blaster Ray.
Huge. A massive KGB manhunt launched immediately. But it ran into problems fast, showed the cracks in the system, really.
How so?
Well, for starters, they spent the first month chasing a dead end. They tried to force a confession out of some unrelated guy, a bomber down in Tambov, miles away.
Wow. So not exactly efficient.
Not at all. The real breakthrough, when it finally came, wasn't from informants or pressure tactics, it was science. Meticulous forensic work.
Okay, that's interesting. So how did science crack this case that seems so politically charged?
2 key things. First, metallurgy. They analyzed fragments of the bomb pipe and traced the metal to one specific factory in Kharkov.
Kharkov, okay.
And maybe even more crucial, there was this bag, an artificial leather bag used for one of the bombs. They traced that material to a manufacturer, but this one was in the Gorky district.
So they knew where the components came from, but not who put them together.
Right. The big aha moment came much later, like 9 months later. Pure chance, apparently. A KGB officer spots someone at the Tashkent airport.
Yeah.
And they're carrying that exact style of bag, the same artificial leather bag. And it turns out that specific style only made in one place, Yerevan.
Armenia. So that's the connection.
That's the connection. It led them straight to Stepan Zatikian. He was a known figure, a co-founder of this underground group, the National United Party, the NUP.
Seeking Armenian independence.
Yeah.
A nationalist group.
Precisely. They arrested him and 2 alleged accomplices. But almost at the same time, the state started its own public relations offensive, or maybe disinformation offensive is better.
How did that work?
Well, this KGB operative, Victor Louis, kind of an infamous figure, starts publishing articles in Western newspapers.
Before the trial.
Way before. And he's dropping hints, insinuating that dissidents were behind the bombings, laying the groundwork, framing the narrative.
Okay, so painting internal critics as terrorists.
Which, as you can imagine, caused a huge backlash domestically, especially from someone like Andrei Sakharov.
The Nobel Peace Prize winner. A major figure in the dissident movement. What did he say?
He publicly called it out. He suggested the bombings might actually be a new provocation, his words, by the organs of repression themselves.
Meaning the KGB staged it to justify a crackdown.
That was the implication. He pointed to the Victor Louis articles, the mass arrests of dissidents who had nothing to do with the bombing. He saw a pattern. He thought they were using the attack as a pretext.
That's an incredibly brave but also dangerous accusation to make.
Oh, absolutely. The state went ballistic, denounced him furiously, called him a defender of murderers. It became this massive ideological fight.
So then comes the actual trial, January 1979. What happened there?
Total secrecy again. Absolute blackout. Relatives weren't even allowed in the courtroom.
And the accused.
The 2 accomplices apparently confessed. But Zatikian, the main suspect, he maintained his innocence the whole time. He challenged the court, said it wasn't legitimate. There's even a bit of audio apparently where he shouts, "Revenge, revenge, revenge again."
Intense. And the verdict?
Guilty. Death penalty for all 3. But what's really stark, and what groups like the Moscow-Helsinki group pointed out later, was the speed.
Yeah.
The clemency petition was rejected, and the executions were carried out that same day, 6 days after the verdict.
The same day. That seems rushed.
Extremely rushed. That speed, combined with the total secrecy of the trial, has fueled doubts ever since. Were they really guilty, or were they convenient political scapegoats? Oleg Gordevsky, the KGB defector, also suggested the evidence was questionable.
And we still don't know for sure.
We don't, because the key KGB files on the case, they're still classified in Russia today. No independent historians can get access to reevaluate the evidence.
So the story lives on differently depending on where you are. In Russia, maybe a memory of a security threat. In Armenia, perhaps a story of national martyrs.
Exactly. It's a perfect microcosm, really, of that late Soviet system, this absolute insistence on controlling the story, controlling the truth.
Leaving this permanent void, these unanswered questions.
Right. Which leads to the final thought we wanted to leave you with. When a state acts with such secrecy, rushes executions, prevents any public scrutiny, what deeper suspicions does that inevitably invite about its own actions, its own role in events? Something to think about.